The Rippaverse is really heating up now, everybody. As you can see, Alphacore #1 is in my hands. This is the 3rd campaign. In general, the pacing in this book is really good. It's improved from the ISOM books, which kind of took a lot of tangents and stuff, so this one's a lot more focused. And it's a police procedural. It has a different vibe than the ISOM comic. So overall, I do like this book, and it feels distinct from ISOM.
This book is great. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I can say that without any hyperbole at all. The story is really cool. Obviously, this is a veteran writer, and it shows. Chuck Dixon has delivered once again. If you've read any of his stuff in the past, then you'll know what I'm talking about, and this is what I was expecting and hoping for. Yeah, the action is just great. This book is superb.
I think this is better than ISOM 1 and 2 because it tells a very complete story while still leaving you hooked for more. Like, it still leaves you wanting more, right? And that's what a good comic should do, especially for a first issue in the series of Alphacore. That's exactly what it should do. This stuff is good. Like this is just a really great self-contained story. It has a great character arc in it. It has great characters in it. I love the villains.
Now, this comic book, it starts off right away. Right off the bat, it just dives right into the city of Spark and Alphacore and like what they're all about. This story is so good. It moves fast. This story has so many good villains. I can't even decide which villains I like. This story is a firecracker, guys. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 comic book.
This book doesn't pull any punches. It gets right into it. Art-wise, the way this story was just directed, told, the way characters were presented. This is massive. Overall, Alphacore 1 was absolutely incredible, and I'm so excited for Alphacore 2. Yeah, it could be a 9 or 9.5, but this is a must-read. You should never miss out on this book.
Another great thing we have in there is that it actually feels like a superhero comic. I said it's a police procedural, yes, but it's a police procedural in the superhero comic genre. We have action, we've got mystery, we've got suspense, we've got a few character pieces here and there. We've got people actually saving people. Yeah, superheroes actually saving people. It's incredible, I know. They say teen at the back of this book. Even a 9 or 10-year-old could easily read this and find it A, enjoyable, and B, there's nothing that's really awful about it. There's a bit of gore. It's to be expected.
Alphacore #1. I've been waiting for this book, written by the legendary Chuck Dixon, one of my favorite writers of all time. I think they're well defined. I think their character traits come out pretty well. They're flawed. They feel like real people. They feel grounded. And that's something that I was really looking forward to, especially in this type of genre, superhero genre, of grounded characters, especially when it comes to a superhero team.
Great writing, amazing art. And for a 3rd book that he got out so quickly, the art doesn't seem like it was rushed in the slightest bit. Every single panel is high quality art. And the single and the full page spreads, oh my god. Like, some of my favorite art is the stuff that's got all the lines, gives things like more texture, keeps things from being so flat. I love it. I love it. There were so many fight scenes. It was great. Ending, great. Amazing climax. Literally got chills. My favorite character, a freaking side character. Chuck Dixon, bro. Chuck Dixon, bro.
You can kind of see a change in the tone of writing here just because it's Chuck Dixon doing the writing, whereas Eric July was doing the writing on the ISOM books. It's still, a seamless tie-in with everything else established in the Rippaverse so far. It's just, different writers have different fingerprints, we'll say, and Chuck's feels different. Competent heroes, competent villains, put them in a box, shake it up, see what happens. I love that. There's beef, there's tension, there's conflict. That's what drives really good stories. That's why I'm intrigued to keep reading.
See them on the cover. You got this electric guy who is heavily focused on the book in the book, and then you also got this other guy right here is like a fire lava guy. He shows up for a moment too. Very cool and interesting characters. And so from what I'm getting is in this world there isn't just a few every now and then some heroes out there with special abilities that are there to save the day. It's more, there is quite a few different types of accepts out there, and it's pretty widely known that these accepts are out there and that there are several different people that can have powers. And in this book we also do learn that some people maybe keep it hidden.
Right off the bat, I liked this way more than I saw number one, because I felt like this was just a lot more fleshed out and it gave us a lot more world building. I feel like this story is sort of like if you took the concept of X-Men and the prejudice they received for like being mutants, and you also combined it with like sort of being controlled by the government that's like an invincible, you get this.
The more I even flip through the book, the more and more I like it. Joe Bennett did a great job with his pencil work, but the thing that I think really elevates it is the coloring. The coloring in this book is just vibrant. It really brings a level of life and texture to this book that I personally really enjoyed. So due to the fact that this book is dense with characters, plot, subplots, multiple moving storylines, intrigue, building mystery, development, I have this book as a 9 out of 10. This to me is kind of what comic books are intended to do.
This is officially legit now. Legendary, seasoned comic book writer, and guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, it shows. I actually enjoyed this comic book a lot more than I thought I was gonna. And don't get me wrong, I expected it, being penned by Chuck Dixon, I actually expected it to be, you know, like obviously like a step above. They introduced some really cool villains in this as well. It's just beautifully illustrated, and the story has really taken off.
I'm gonna say, this book really delivers. It really does, and I'm not gonna be a total Rippaverse simp here. I'll be totally honest. I saw number one, didn't blow me away. I liked it. It interested me enough to see what was next, but it didn't completely blow me away. I saw number two, I thought was quite a bit of an improvement on that. This book, though, this to me shows that the Rippaverse means business. The writing of Chuck Dixon really, really stands out. The dialogue is a lot more natural. There are so many different dynamics between the characters, both the Accept characters, the superhumans, but we meet a number of human characters that they interact with it as well that are able to come into their own personality. If I was going to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, this I would probably give an 8. I think the writing is excellent, but at the end of the day, this was fresh, this was new. This really, really did show me that the Rippaverse has arrived. The Rippaverse is growing up really fast, and I really do encourage you to check out Alphacore.
Alphacore number 1 is a comic book packed with action, thrills, and even subtle bits of humor for great measure for your reading pleasure. It's bright, heroic, and shimmering with great villains, much like its predecessors, but has enough of its own ingredients to stand on its own 2 feet. So is it worth buying if you are a Rippaverse fan? Is it worth buying if you're a Chuck Dixon fan? Is it worth buying if you're a comic book fan in general? Yes, and fuck yes.
There's some things that take place that are actually really, really cool. And there are some payoffs there that I really appreciate. That the level of detail that Chuck Dixon has gone into to make these payoffs happen is pretty awesome. But I think you should definitely pick up this book and read the rest of it, because everything kind of comes together. It shows you the level that these villains are willing to think and know Alphacore enough, and know the figures in Alphacore enough to guess that they will make a decision that will put themselves at risk. I think you should definitely pick it up and read it.
Alphacore, dude. I feel like these characters are extremely likable. I mean, we got Brian right here. Ingrid Valdez, she was spicy. She had attitude. She was everything I love about superhero characters. She just hit different, dude. She was the standout in my opinion.
So going through this story, there is a lot of action. More than one thing is happening in this world at one point in time. While you're reading a scene, and then all of a sudden the scenes are going back and forth between each other, you start to realize the world doesn't stop happening just because we're in this scene. other things are going on. And that makes it feel a little bit more real. It makes the characters a little bit more related. It makes you think to yourself, wow, all of this stuff is happening just the way that the real world would happen. Would I spend my hard-earned dollars on this book again? Or better yet, will I be buying Alphacore number 2? Buy or don't buy? The answer is buy. Absolutely, I will spend my hard-earned dollars yet again, because this here is showing that there are some talented motherfoes in the Rippaverse, and those guys are delivering on a brand new world for all of us.